Arthur Bookwormington III here, and welcome to my book club. I believe that books are the most important thing on the planet. Whether it be a short story, a coloring book, or even the biggest novel, everything has its place in high society. I just got done reading this book on this table here. And now I want to talk about all things Goosebumps.
Beware, you're in for a scare.
The Goosebumps books were released in 1992, written by R.L. Stine. These were not his first books, however. He also wrote the Fear Street books, which really started his career in the horror writing genre. Fear Street books were quite different to the Goosebumps, where they had a much more serious tone and story elements and characters that would go onto future books. These books were more geared towards older teenagers due to their themes until he started writing his next series. Goosebumps came out and was aimed at a younger audience, being kids and younger teens, with Welcome to Dead House. This book was an instant success, and Scholastic ordered many more books to be written. This series lasted 62 books and were based on all different monsters and scary things. The original run of these books had such wide and diverse stories where one would fight many different monsters and sometimes even just supernatural elements themselves. One thing remained constant throughout the entire series, and that was its horror themes. I lied. Actually, there were two more things that remained constant. One was the fact that every main protagonist was 12 years old. That's right, every hero or heroine in the Goosebumps original series was 12. That was in order to connect to the younger audience that R.L. Stine was aiming for. Being so particular, Stine could create stories where the child would be put into all different manners of creepy and scary things, and the audience that was reading it would connect in a much deeper level. These books were scary, quite over the top, creepy, and oftentimes fun. But that was until you got to right near the end, where number 2 would always happen. The second thing that would always happen in every Goosebumps books, in case you didn't follow, but what I meant by number 2 was the twist. Every twist was different in order to fit the unique story elements of each book, where sometimes the twist would just be as simple as something evil staying alive, and sometimes the twist was a little bit more complex, where it was some kid wearing a mask instead of somebody else. But regardless of what the twist was, each story had one. Some of them were good, some of them were not as good. But that doesn't matter. Whilst not well known, the release schedule of these books was just incredible. There was at least one book every month, which is simply amazing. The time it takes to write a book, proofread it, and release it is quite time-consuming. Even being able to do this on such a consistent basis is remarkable. But this also shows in the quality of some of the stories, where I think Stine just came up with any old idea and just wrote down what came out of his head. For some reason, after 62 books, Stein went on to write a new series called Goosebumps 2000, which were a little more mature until the end of his contract. Funnily enough, only one book in the Goosebumps 2000 series actually came out in the year 2000. He also wrote other books like Tales from the Goosebumps, which had a series of short stories in them, which all proved to be quite creepy and fun. He also had the Horrorland series, which was a little bit more serialized than his other works, where monsters from the previous books like Slappy, Monster Blood, The Haunted Mask would come and try and defeat our heroes such as Carly Beth again. It wasn't until the very final chapters that the hero or heroine would make it to Horrorland. In the final few books of this series, it had all of the monsters and all of the villains and all of the heroes fighting against each other in Horrorland. It is quite an epic tale, and I wish, honestly, that R.L. Stein would do more serialization. There have been plenty of books written under the Goosebumps name, but most recently, the Slappy's World books have come out, where Slappy seems to be the main character. This is great because Slappy is probably one of the most famous villains of all of Goosebumps, and to have his own series is quite late, actually. I thought they would have done this much earlier and capitalized on something that is so recognizable. But regardless, only one book is out at the moment, so I can't tell you if it's going to be serialized or if Slappy will be in every book. But it is called Slappy's World. Something that is instantly recognizable in these books are the cover artworks. These were done by artist Tim Jacobus for all of the books in the original run and half of the 2000 series. The only one that he did not draw himself was Stay Out of the Basement. The reason here is that Scholastic didn't know which of the artists they want to employ, so they got Tim Jacobus to do the first book, and they got another artist to do the second. When Scholastic saw their work, they decided to continue with Tim Jacobus's artwork. And besides only a few edits to his artwork, he nailed it every time. I have to say, these pictures are simply stunning. They pop right out of the book and grab your attention with the colors and sometimes the bizarre nature of the story. Honestly, they do a very good job showing what the story will be about and what scary monster or plot element will be featured. Some of my personal favorites include Night of the Living Dummy, The Haunted Mask, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, and Ghost Beach. Then there are some which look pretty hilarious, like Welcome to Camp Jelly Jam. Just look at this face. Holy cow, how did this get past print? Also, check this one out. My best friend's Invisible has a cat that is having so much fun. I wish I was having so much fun like that cat. The thing to note about these artworks is that they took 1 month each to make. Tim would be given an outline of what the story was about, and sometimes what they wanted to have on the front cover. And with that information, he would have to draw, paint, and create an artwork. The only exception to this was Night at Terror Tower, where he only had about 36 hours before he could submit it, due to issues with sending information back and forth. But regardless, he still did it, and it is still a very, very good picture. Another fun fact that I am just full of is that he also did the artwork for the Goosebumps book right at the end of the Goosebumps movie. Now, I have not seen the film myself, as I only read books, but I am told that a selection of his artwork is also featured in the credits to pay homage to him. What a lovely tribute. The way that these books are written is actually quite simple. They are usually about 120 pages long, give or take a few pages in some of the books. The reason being is that these are short stories. The other reason probably being the fact that Stein only had 1 month to write a book, so writing it longer may have killed him. These books are split into numerous chapters, and the font is actually pretty big, which helps younger readers because they don't feel so daunted when they have to read a book when there's only like 10 lines, actually there's more, of each book page that they have to read. Being children's books, these are incredibly descriptive, and they also get to the point very quickly. The reason being, they are short, and if you do not get to the point, then you will miss it entirely. They are honestly a good way to introduce your children into the horror genre, because not only does it convey horror in a very simple way that 12-year-olds will understand, but it is also funny, light-hearted enough to show the kids that it isn't that scary. And besides the twist, it always ends with a happy ending. Though honestly, as I have gone back to read these books, they aren't terribly good for me. They are a bit too simple, and I like to read longer, more difficult books like the Iliad, or the other books like the Bible in the original Sanskrit, because I love reading. So going back to a children's book, it is a little hard to read, but that does not change the fact that it is still a good story. Their value is still high because they were made for kids, and that is who should be reading them. I don't expect a kid to be reading the Iliad, but I would expect them to be able to read the Goosebumps books and be engaged and intrigued by them. Hopefully, by reading these more simple books, it can inspire a love of reading, which will then take them to all new adventures in all new places around the world. When I was a child, I enjoyed these books quite a lot. They were very popular amongst all of my friends and peers. Every time we would go to the library to pick up a new book and hope that we had not read that story before. These weren't the only books that I loved. I also read the Animorph book series and Del Toro Quest, both of which were fantastic. But these helped me get into much bigger books like Harry Potter. Yes, even I have read Harry Potter. Now, not everybody that I know still loves reading. I wish that people would read more because there are so many amazing books. And getting kids to love reading when they're young is simply amazing. In conclusion, I say that the Goosebumps books are simply amazing. They convey lots of creepy and fun themes throughout a vast majority of stories, and you can pick up almost any story and fall in love with it. Unless, of course, you pick up a crappy book like Go Eat Worms or My Face is a Chicken. I don't know what that one is called, but I'll have a picture magically pop up next to me of a girl with a chicken for a head. Some books are definitely better than others. Like I said, the Haunted Mask books or the Night of the Living Dummy books are very, very good. Also, a lot of people enjoy Say Cheese and Die, Welcome to Dead House, and It Came from the Basement. There is a reason why they became so popular. They are well written, the stories are fun and creepy, and it really started a legacy that continues on today with a TV show, multiple games, a movie that was released 20 years after the books began. Not many books get to have that kind of legacy. So I would say, go back, relive some of your nostalgia, or maybe pass these on to your kids so they can too enjoy the books. Just beware, they may be in for a scare. Thank you for joining my book club. Please tell me what your favorite Goosebumps books were, and if you love them as much as I did, or if they helped you get into different books. Because, like I said, Goosebumps was like a gateway into the love of reading. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again when book club resumes with a different book. Bye. I've read the same passage quite a number of times now. I can't do this position. I just realized my leg is off the green screen. Some of these twists are very simple, like a zombie staying alive. Some of these twists are quite complex, being that a zombie didn't die. I don't know all of the twists. I should have probably read the entire book series before starting this book club.